Okay, I think we're finally recording. Good. Okay, I had to edit this the last time because it was too long and I couldn't upload it. Um, so what I want to do is talk about two actors, honestly, who really innovated comedy throughout the 70s and 80s. Um, and we're also going to talk about a certain movie which the remake was now, I don't think, very good. In fact, I think Johnny Depp should honestly scratch that from his film career because the remake of Chocolate Factory I didn't think was very good. Um, but here, right here, here is the original Chocolate Factory, um, and that's what I wanted to talk about was Gene Wilder. Um, Now, Gene Wilder, you guys had a great career. I mean, for God's sakes, I mean, Stir Crazy, See No Evil, Hear No Evil with Richard Pryor, um, Young Frankenstein. I'm missing some other ones. He was in a movie called The Red Woman, which was kind of a like drama, I guess, drama comedy. Um, Now, and I also wanted to talk about Mel Brooks. Mel Brooks directed tons and tons of movies that Gene Wilder was involved in, and Richard Pryor, um, and I mean numerous other actors as well. Um, Mel Brooks, I feel like, is one of the greatest directors of all time. You can't really say anything bad about any of his movies. Personally, I've never seen a bad movie by either one of them. And again, you have to throw in Richard Pryor into that situation too, because Mel Brooks had a very close friendship with Richard Pryor. And Richard Pryor was somebody who was extremely misunderstood. Um, he was funny as hell. I mean, The Toy is one of the best movies I've ever watched. That's hilarious. Um, and obviously his comedy stand-ups were pretty decent. His movies with Gene Wilder were pretty good. And I believe before he passed away, he even did a cameo in a earlier John Travolta movie, I believe, which I can't remember the name of it. It was made in several years before he died. Um, so again, I think these people are incredibly influential in comedy. They pretty much paved the way for people really to have comedy where it is now. I mean, we wouldn't have some of the different styles of comedy if it wasn't for these people. So much respect to both of Mel Brooks and Gene Wilder, and well, Richard Pryor too. Um, so what I want to talk about is let's talk about Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Um, Now, essentially, some people thought this movie was kind of a big acid trip because of the psychedelic stuff, like in the tunnel, like when they're going through um, the tunnel in the boat. Um, and it was a controversial movie, but you can't deny the acting in it was great. I mean, the grandfather, and later on in life, he was in several movies before he passed away. He was even in a horror movie called Dead and Buried before he passed away. Um, Gene Wilder obviously had quite a great career. And some of the other minor characters in the movie really ended up getting into like theater, I believe, as well. Um, and honestly, I just feel like the original movie is it's not dark. It's not it's not like the remake. I mean, it's funny. The songs are funny. It's catchy music. I mean, even Family Guy, for God's sakes, did a parody of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, except it was made in the Paul Pat Brewery or whatever it was. Um, even Futurama did a parody of it. Um, and I think even American Dad at some point did something like that. I know South Park, I think, did something too. Um, so I feel like this movie, honestly, even though it was made, in the 1960s, I feel like this movie was one of the best movies ever made, honestly. Not just for kids, it's for everybody. I still watch it to this day. I mean, I still have my VHS copy, if you guys can see it there. This is one of the original copies, actually, which is really hard to actually find in VHS. Um, but I'm going to say that this is like the best original movie that I've seen, other than Wizard of Oz. Now, um, later on in the week, I'm going to do a review on the Wizard of Oz, the original. Um, I got to be honest, I was extremely disappointed with Disney's version of the Wizard of Oz. I know that is a different story, but still, I wasn't too impressed with it. I thought the original was a million times better. I mean, and sometimes it happens with older movies. Sometimes you just can't beat the classics. That's what I feel like in this situation with Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, because you can't really say that this is a bad movie. This is a great movie. In fact, I would give it higher than 5 stars. I would give it like 10 stars. I mean, the cast is amazing. The plot is great. The music is really interesting. And the end of the movie is really awesome too, because they essentially fly right through the roof and just float around the town, and you get to just see the whole entire town. Um, and the character of Charlie, honestly, in this movie, it goes to more into what families had to do basically to survive in situations when um, you know times were rough. I mean, some people had to basically just live off of like steamed cabbage, because work was not easy to find back in that period of time. Um, and I like how the town looks too, because it's very old fashioned. Um, you know, it has the old fashioned clock towers and buildings, and I mean the Oompa Loompas are, I think, very interesting how they did that, because for one thing there was more than one. That's the thing that really got me with the new movie, was they only used one person for the Oompa Loompas, and the original, it's like, no, there was separate people standing singing. And you have to admit that the goose egg machine scene was really interesting with Baruka, when apparently she was that evil that she wanted everything, and basically she just got whatever she had coming to her when she was basically smashed into the garbage disposal. Um, and then there was a scene with the other girl that was chewing the gum that turned into a gigantic blueberry, which is hilarious. I think that that's part of another reason why I think the movie is awesome. Um, but I mean, I'm basically here just to say I love Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. It is one of the best movies ever made, and I think it deserves to get reviewed and be on here. So, the next one that I'm going to be doing is the original Wizard of Oz, because that needs to be on here too, because that's a cult classic. So I think I'm going to be concentrating on classic movies for a while, and then get more modern as time goes on. So again, hit the like button. This is the Gene Wilder and Mel Brooks review, slash Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. So, peace and much love. Bye.